In the previous video, we dissected the typical layer template, learned about universal versus layer-specific changes, and quickly clipped photos to Photoshop layers in the Layers panel. In this video, you'll complete your page with extra goodies from our class kit. Let's do this. After adding your photos, your next step is to decorate your page. You can go in any direction, starting with the embellishments or the text areas, but I prefer to start with the background paper. Adding background paper is exactly the same process for adding photos or any other object to your photo editor. You open it and then drag it into your layout. Now, if you had background selected in your Layers panel, then it's going to go right over the background. If you didn't, it might end up somewhere higher in your Layers panel, and that's fine. You just click and drag it right over the background layer in the template, and that will become your background paper. For my paper, I've chosen the grid paper because it's a nice balance for all the blue and busy that's in this photo. Now, I have a few choices here. Do I want this paper to live right in the background, or do I want it to be part of that yellow paper and replace it and clip it to it just like a photo? Or do I want it to be higher and clip it to that? I have a lot of different choices. For me, I'm going to leave it as this background paper, as a mat really to my photos and all of my embellishments. And then I might look at it again and say, hey, you know what? For this background right here, my background, I'm going to add a second grid paper. So I have a grid and a solid and a grid on top of that. But I don't like the yellow. I want to replace the yellow. I want to put a paper here, and I don't want to use yellow at all. I'm going to choose this blue and drag it into my layout here. And because I want the blue to replace the yellow, in my Layers panel, I'm going to drag the blue right over the yellow layer, the paper background layer, and then clip it directly to it. And because the blue paper is directly over the yellow paper and clipped to it, as shown before in the previous video, the blue paper assumes the shape, the size, and the style of the layer below. And that's quick and easy, right? And with that, I've added 3 background papers to my layout. The beauty of the template is you can replace these layers at any time if you want to swap your papers out for a different look. Now here comes the fun part. The template is packed with mock-shaped layers, points of reference for us to remove and replace with our embellishments that we prefer. Everyone has a personal method when working for mocks. Some may want to toggle off the visibility and work around them, while others may want to completely delete the layers and start fresh. I often find that your comfortability level with embellishing usually determines how you'll complete your page, but the main goal is to add character to your page. So while I've been talking, I've been hiding the extra mock-shaped layers, but I've left the flags, and I'm going to clip pattern papers to these shapes because they're so large, and they'll help me repeat the patterns and colors I'd like to use on the layout. Again, the process for clipping papers to them is the same. For my next step, I'll add embellishments to create a tag with a cluster. And it's the same drag and drop method that you've seen before. And now I'm going to add shadows to the cluster so it looks dimensional. The main thing I have to keep track of during this process with shadowing and adding embellishments and making clusters is how I'm moving the embellishment layers up or down in the Layers panel so they aren't hidden from view by some higher layer. It's at this point that I would usually add some text for a title and journaling, but this time I'm not going to use my horizontal type tool. No. Instead, I'm going to use text enhancements like the alpha set provided in the Prism folder. Digital alphas work just like any other digital embellishment. You pick out the letters you want to use and then you open them in the editor. And then you drag and drop them into your layout. You can arrange them in the Layers panel if need be, and then use the Move tool to place them just so on the layout. And just because I'm cool like that, I'm going to tuck one alpha behind the photo by moving the letters layers down underneath the photo in the Layers panel. And for journaling, I'm opting to hide both the photo mat and the journaling text box and add a simple card from the Prism kit. It really doesn't get much quicker than that. And if you don't want to journal, it's a great substitute. To wrap up my layout, I'm going to revisit the shadow styles for most of my layers and play with the lighting angles so they match my preferred angle. When the template's preset lighting angles don't make you happy, all you got to do is click on the FX icon for each layer and change them. It's as easy as that. I'm also going to make a few design-related changes that make me happy as a scrapbooker. I also want to repeat this pink damask and clip it to that original yellow paper background. This is to reinforce both the color and the pattern so the layout looks balanced. Instead of dragging a new paper in, I can duplicate the original damask paper. There are a few ways to duplicate a layer. You could go to the top menu and select Layer, Duplicate Layer. Or use shortcut keys Command-J on the Mac or Control-J on the PC, and that too will quickly duplicate any current active layer. And then drag one of the duplicates, one of the ones that aren't clipped, over the paper mat layer and clip it. And that's it. I'm going to save my layout, and then I could prep it to share on the web or print it as well. But no matter what I do after this point, you and I will have finished our third page with the perfect combination of speed, like a quick page, but also creative flexibility where we are in complete control over how the end layout looks. I can't wait to see your layout, your third one, in the gallery.